old, slow internet today. Okay, we are live, so you should be able to go ahead.
All right, good evening. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to call the May 18th board meeting to order. We have all of the township board present, trustee is present, deputy chief of the fire department is present, as long with our administrative Sue. So first thing is in this packet we have our past minutes, and just need a motion to accept, if that's what you should.
Motion.
I got one motion, I got a second by Mark. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got no opposes. Secondly, under the old items, we just need to make sure that we sign the bank statements that are also here in this packet. Don't need any motions or anything like that. We just need to make sure we sign both February, March, and April's statements here. As we continue with the old items, the assistance guidelines, we now have a updated copy here at the trustee's office if somebody so chooses to look at that. Do we need to, we don't need to adopt it, right?
They already did.
Oh, we already did, I'm sorry. Just, we have it printed out and they are available. The State Board of Accounts meeting, would you like to say?
We went to the State Board of Accounts meeting, state call meeting. It's required on April 29th. Probably the biggest thing, I'm going to pull it up because I actually took a picture of it to make life a little easier. House Enrolled Act 1048 is going to be one that's going to directly affect us. Of course, budget's already in place for this year. House Enrolled Act 1048 effective July 1st of 2026. A unit served by a volunteer fire department shall pay directly to each active participating member of the department $250 per year for an automobile allowance and $250 a year for the use for clothing. So basically, they doubled it. We've done $250 for the members, and we've been paying directly. One of the big changes there was if a township was paying like a corporation, which then would divvy it out to the people. It's now requiring it to be paid direct. So we should be okay. I started crunching some numbers based on current roster. We should be okay. But we'll have to look at increasing that line item for next year's budget because that's $500 per person. So that's a big increase. We've not spent that line item in its entirety, at least since 2024. So that is probably the biggest thing that came out of that. A lot of it was about audits, oddly enough. A lot of that we obviously just went through, and we'll get into that in. Well, I guess I can bring it up. We did finish our audit as part of that, just in the State Board of Accounts. State Board of Accounts was on site as well as remote. They did a compliance audit, spot checking purchases, payments, salaries, invoices, assistance cases. They thankfully and generously gave us a list of everything they wanted. Prior to their on-site visit, Sue diligently had everything ready. He was very impressed with our record keeping. So there's 3 levels. There's an informal discussion if they were to find an issue. There's an informal discussion, there's a managerial comment, and then there's a public comment. Obviously, you don't want any, but public comment would be, in terms the worst. That's something that then gets broadcast and published to the public, saying, hey, we found this issue. I am happy to report. So it was a 4-year audit for 22, 23, 24, and 25. Obviously 24 and 25 would have been my years. 22 and 23 were Joyce. Happy to report no public comments. We had an informal discussion on one item that was really no big deal, but they said that they're required. And then there were two managerial level comments. Thankfully, both of those managerial comments were issues from 2022 and 2023, and they were corrected in 2024. And moving forward, 2025 was, of course, fixed as well. So that is why there was no public comment there, because they were corrected in 2024. So it was a clean audit. Happy, still haven't gotten the bill. They actually take that now as opposed to writing a check. That'll come out of our December tax disbursement, so property tax disbursement. So we're good there. It's happy. That was a stressful time being my first audit, but got a clean bill of health, which is always a good thing. Learned a few things from them. You know, it's ever changing. There's always laws changing, things like that. So got a good contact there. If we have any questions, we can be ahead of the curve. They do have some changes coming. Tanner's leaving and going back up to Fort Wayne into a different role, so we won't be dealing with him. It'll just be Jonathan, and then whoever is going to replace Tanner's yet to be announced yet. So that's all I've got on state board of accounts. Like I said, it was the majority of the day was about audits and preparing for audits. They talked a little bit about capital improvement plan, but we'll get to that item when we get down there. So that's all I got on state board of accounts.
Before we switch into new items, does anybody have any questions or comments about the old? All right, I see none here, none. On the new items agenda, office hours. Trustee?
Office hours. So, last 6 weeks, we've had no calls and no one request appointments for Friday. We are moving the office. Currently, we were 9 to 1, Monday through Friday. We are going to pivot and adjust our hours to be more in line with some of the other offices in the county. And we're going to go 9 to 2, Monday through Thursday. So the office will be closed on Friday and, of course, closed on holidays. Doesn't mean that appointments can't still be made on a case-by-case basis for Friday. But to streamline, there really hasn't been a need on Fridays. If that changes, then that's ever evolving. I'm constantly evaluating the hours that's going to best meet the clients. If you serve over 10,000 people, you're required to provide 14 office hours, open office hours per week. Obviously, we're providing more than that, and we are serving currently, it goes by the last census, and our last census we were serving 9,800. So we technically have no office hour requirements. But we are still providing that to the taxpayers. So that's where we're at on that. Like I said, that's if something changes and we need to pivot or start opening up again on Friday, then by all means we can adjust those hours as needed.
All right.
So I'll go on that.
Cool. Next item under the new is the DLGF budget process 2.0.
Sue and I went to a meeting last month up in Miami County with our DLGF budget field rep, Judy Robinson. The DLGF is finally rolling out a complete new way to do the budget. Should be pretty good. It's a step in the right direction for sure. As you're going through, there's a lot of drop-down boxes. You're plugging and playing information. It won't let you go to the next step until you filled something in. There's actually like a demo website that they went through a presentation. Sue and I have both been kind of playing around with it. It's not live yet, so you can go in and it doesn't affect any of your current budget or next year's budget that will start on next month for 2027. Won't affect any of that yet. It goes live sometime in July. Beginning of July? End of June?
End of June.
End of June. It'll go live. I intend to not be. Last year we were out of the gate. We were one of the first taxing units to meet with our budget field rep for the pre-budget workshop. I intend to wait a little bit this year. Not to delay anything, but with it being a brand new budget process and flow. I would like those bugs to be worked out,
Absolutely.
be more mindful of our time, and hopefully if there's issues that get caught early, it can be addressed before we do ours. So that's kind of the plan there. And that's really all I've got on the budget. Should be good. Nothing will change as far as public hearing, adoptions, things like that. That's all the same. It's just literally how we are plugging and chugging for putting the budget together for next year.
Awesome.
That's all I got on that.
Any questions? Next item on the agenda is the CVET deposit.
You want to speak on that, Sue?
CVET, commercial vehicle excise tax is what it actually stands for. State Board of Accounts made if you remember, we had to do this last year. We have to designate prior to putting it into the system which fund that will go into. Otherwise, it has to automatically, if the board does not put it into a specific account,
Township General.
it has to go into general. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Last year, we put CVET and the TIF supplemental into half fire and half township assistance. The CVET that we have received this month is a whopping $178.
Yeah.
So we can decide what we're gonna do with all of it through the year, or we can just do this one. So that's kind of up to you guys. Do you wanna have to do this again? Do you wanna just do it one
If
time?
we do it each time, that's each month? Or is that just
It
as
comes
we
twice
get
a
it?
year.
Twice a year? Well, I say we do it each once. If it's $100 bucks, we just put it in the fire department.
There's always needs.
Right.
I mean, it makes no difference to me. There's always needs. You know, I've got a very long needs list at the fire department, and it's just prioritizing that to work within the confines of the budget. We can absolutely use the money there. It's obviously then a restricted fund, which isn't subject to the road and infrastructure fund. So, yeah, I'm good if you want to put it in the fire department.
I make the motion that we put the CVET into a one-time vote and then go to the fire department for this half of the year. And then we'll vote on the second installment later as it comes in.
I second that.
Okay, got a second by Adam. Anybody got any other questions about that or comments? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed, which is 0, so that passes 3-0. Next on the agenda is the CIP and the 2007 or 207 training coming up.
That is coming up on June 17th. Is for a change, it's actually a free training. I know I'm going, and so basically they're going through the CIP now that it's been active for almost a year to kind of say, okay, here's the pros, cons, do's, don'ts, and those kind of things. 207 is a House bill that is requiring the mergers
At the township.
of townships.
Okay.
So we're gonna finally get some actual information on how the scoring's working. We've been told because we have a fire department that we will not have to worry about it, but nobody's talking about how they're doing there's a lot of unknowns, I guess is the biggest thing. So it's a matter of, we're gonna finally get some details.
Okay. To be continued then, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Other than some of the main topics and other discussions, do you have any updates with the fire department that you would like to?
So we're looking to get some gear. I don't remember the number of sets right off the top of my head. I thought it was like 3 or 4 sets.
Sounds about right.
Sets of gear. But we're still looking into getting a storage unit for mow and other items that we have a hard time storing. We're currently looking to go 7 days a week on ambulance, 21 or 22, whatever one's in service, or both. R21 is going to get re-lettered. The fire department is going to be paying for that. Corporation. Okay. Let's see. We're going to be buying 2 new AEDs with the Wyman money and opiate money. So the 2 new AEDs to.
I don't know if you guys are aware, we did get a $7,500 grant from the county for the opioid settlement money, which is awesome. So thanks to the commissioners, Pam from the commissioner's office for that, as well as they received a $1,000 grant from the Wyman Group, part of their 25-year celebration giveaway. 25,000 grants, we received $1,000 there. I spent an hour today at Lindy, which I'll touch on later. We are going to be getting an O2 cascade system to try to reduce some of our costs. Grant money was the way to go.
Sure.
We should, after preliminarily pricing it out, we should be able to do the entire O2 cascade system as well as buy 2 AEDs with those 2 grants combined. It should be no taxpayer dollars. That's the goal anyway. We will have to see as we get a little closer. We were talking about the other day, we're going to use the blast cabinet, the blast shield for the SCBA. It'll work for the O2 bottles, which is like $500. So that's going to save us. I had already factored in the cost. I was at Lindy today. That's who our current medical oxygen supplier is. Got the bill lowered and also preparation. We can circle back to that, but that's on the agenda. Kind of wait to see. We're not sure if the opioid money is going to come to the township or if it's going to go to the corporations. Tomato.
Sure.
Whoever it goes to, we'll order the
Right.
stuff. If it comes to us, we'll deposit it and then make the order. If not, then it'll be the corporation that does it. So moving forward on that, it'll be like a 3 bottle with a 4th spare, so you can cycle one in. Do you guys have in Zionsville?
Not for our oxygen.
Okay, we've got them in Kokomo. They're really efficient. Right now, if they need a little bottle that they've gotten all the EMS bags, they literally are driving all the way across town to Lindy with their McGavics to swap a bottle out. That's not efficient, not to mention just all the costs associated with it. So having that right on site, we're still going to be buying medical grade oxygen. I would assume still from Lindy after today's conversation. But they don't offer us. My goal was to buy the bottles, and that's the whole thing. But they are in the leasing business, not the buying business. So I still need to do some more homework before I make a commitment. Which route? Obviously, it's what's the most cost effective long term. Not so much looking at the upfront short term cost. That's what the grants are for. But looking long term, what's sustainable and what money can we free up, our monthly costs to put right back into the budget to other needs.
Sure.
So, sorry to hijack. Touching on the storage shed, Shane and I have had extensive conversation about that as well. I asked that we wait until 4th quarter of the year, just so we can see where we land after we get through all our pump testing, hose testing, ladder testing is done. It passed, aerial passed, all ground ladders passed. So you do all those to know what that costs, and it's not the cost. I can actualize the cost for the actual testing, but it's the what ifs of how much hose fails. Does the ladder fail? We gotta buy a ground ladder, those things. The sheds is a need, but it doesn't have, obviously frontline things that are gonna be used for life safety and fire protection are gonna take priority. So waiting until closer to the end of the year, seeing where we're at with the budget, was my hope, just so we don't run out of money.
Just out of curiosity, how many sections of hose did we lose last year? What, like 7?
I was more than that. I want to say it was 5 or 7 sections of 5-inch, and there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 sections of 1.75 inch, a couple sections of 3-inch.
Right.
It's about $7,000 worth of hose that we bought last year. Now,
I remember it was a subscription.
in theory, this year should be pretty good because the use is not every day, all day.
Right.
Where it's really taking a beating. So hopefully this year is minimal. But $7,000 here. Ladder testing was just under $2,000 through CFS. That's not right. Yeah, CFS. We're doing service on. Has that been done yet? The service on the rescue tools.
He was supposed to do that tomorrow, but had to cancel. He
Okay.
was work-related injuries, so
Okay.
I think it's next week.
Next week.
Next week he should be able to make it.
So the hydro tools on the rescue are leaking bad. They're like, yeah, we clean this up once a month. I said, well, let's get them serviced.
Sure.
They're supposed to be serviced yearly anyway. Called the TNT dealer, Hoosier Fire. They're going to come down on site. Apparently some fittings got changed a while back. Not sure what or why or how. They carry everything TNT and they'll get it back to normal operating with no leaks. So that service is just under $1,000 to have it done. I think the initial quote was 8 and change plus the unknowns.
Right.
But you gotta take care of your stuff.
Absolutely.
Preventative maintenance
Yep.
prevents expensive fixes. So I will say, as of today, the Brush 21's out of service. Skid units moved over into the new truck. It's nearing completion, and the radio out of the old Brush 21 is now in ambulance 22 and operational. Did that today, so it's good to go. We put a new radio in the new truck. So they actually have a radio in there now. Took the old Harris out that hasn't obviously worked since they went to the new E25 system. So they have a functioning mobile in their ambulance 22 now. I think actually at one point today, maybe they were both out on calls. They were both in service. One paid, one volunteer today. So, you got anything else, fire department?
Love it.
I do have one
Sure.
question. Do you have a rough estimate of like how many EMS runs within, say, the last month, and then within that, like how many transports?
Can't answer the last 30 days, but I can tell you, Shane and I at the end of the first quarter talked, so the end of March, and the run numbers had doubled from first quarter last year. But it's also paid 5 days.
Right.
It serves more,
Sure.
it makes more runs, it makes more transports. I think they did somewhere around 47 transports within city limits
Okay.
in 2025. That was just in city limits. That's not necessarily just Harrison Township.
Right.
That was covered. Code 47. That was covering code 30, no medic available calls. Sure. If the ambulance is in service, the city's pulling them in.
Very nice.
It is sustaining itself.
Good.
There is money in EMS.
Nice.
I'll make that statement. I'll wear that hat.
Right.
It is self-sustaining itself. Their EMS account's growing. I think that's why I'm not speaking for Donald, but I think that's why they're looking at even increasing from 5 to 7 days a week coverage. So,
Fantastic.
especially during the daytime hours when it's harder to get volunteers. So,
Sure.
I did get a dumpster. They are doing a purge. They had a lot of just old stuff that wasn't going to fit in a pickup truck. It's probably about half full. So we've got it just a few more days. If there's anything else this week's training, we can purge. Let's get her cleaned out, make some room. That's really all I've got, fire department.
One more question, just to put you on the spot. How many volunteers do we have currently? Like on roster, making runs?
So we have about 31 on our roster.
Some of that is paid,
Right.
EMS only.
Okay.
Sorry, there is. I think there's only 4 that are paid.
Okay.
So
And then I assume you guys are always taking applications and stuff like that?
yeah, I think we're getting ready to speak. We're looking to probably bring on some more paid EMTs, and we're always looking for volunteers.
I actually had a career guy reach out to me the other day, interested in coming down and volunteer. I told him to call Mason. They called Mason. Then Mason called me and asked me if they were messing with him. But they're not. They seem pretty serious to me. There is a couple voicemails we can go through here. Do you know how to access the voicemail on the chief's phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have a password somewhere, but
Okay. I've got it pulled up. I can show you. There's a couple of calls that probably need returning if Shane's out of town on vacation. Not sure who he did or didn't call back. But yeah, that's.
I don't have any more questions. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about the meeting?
I just have one. It's, we're using ambulance 22 now part of the time.
Okay.
Have we given any thought to putting that lift like we have in 21 in there in 22 also?
That's the power load.
Power load. Have we given any thought to that? I mean,
I'll give it thought. It's just really expensive.
I know, that's what I'm saying, it's really expensive, but
I would say if you can build the EMS account where it can fund it, then I don't know that that's the best use of the taxpayer dollars right now with having the frontline ambulance 21 having the power load. We have one. The odds of them both in service aren't as frequent. I'm not against it, but I think there's money that needs to be spent other places first.
well, my question was, I guess, there for a while they were switching them every month.
Yeah.
And I thought they were.
Yeah, that's, I leave that up to the chief. That's his prerogative, what he wants. I've driven both ambulances in the last week. 17 is obviously much nicer than the 01.
Oh, I'm sure.
It definitely rides better. But again, it does need to be exercised and used some. That doesn't hurt. I'm not opposed to it if he wants to get costs. You know what it would.
Well, that was my idea.
With the striker, yeah.
Think about that.
I'll always entertain an idea. I don't want you to think I'm discrediting the idea, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Really expensive. Striker is really, I mean, it's $1,200 for 2 batteries and a charger. They're really proud of their stuff. You know, maybe there's some EMS grant money we can find to hopefully offset. You know, I'm not opposed to anything, but I'd want to sit down with the chief and the EMS director, EMS chief, what do you call it? Director, and see where that would land on their priority list. You know, I don't make the decisions down there. Shane comes to me typically, Donald, you know, with requests, ideas, questions, and then it's just working the problem together to see what the best solution is. So I'm never opposed to absolutely listening, but knowing in the back of my mind what that stuff costs, that would be, and knowing that we've got some capital expenses that, you know, I'd like to replace the air packs and go to a G1 pack and get in line with everybody else in the county who's already on G1 packs. Now the Queen said they can service our Firehawks as long as necessary. They've got plenty of stock of parts, but at some point we're going to need to go to a high pressure G1 like everyone else has, about 150,000 right now. If we were to do it today to re-outfit those, that's money.
Yeah.
You know, the engine, looking at the need of a new engine at some point. That's a reality. Like I said, a lot of dollars need to be spent. I wish we had unlimited budgets, but that's obviously not where we're at today. Yeah, I'll obviously entertain it. You know, have them get some pricing, and if you want to do the legwork and find out,
See what I can
hit me with it, and then we can talk about it next meeting or whatever. Like I said, I'm always open to ideas. I would just encourage you to have that conversation with Shane. And
I had a conversation with Shane a couple weeks ago, and he kind of said, hey, I'd like to hold off. He said, and maybe see about maybe replacing the ambulance and that at the same time.
I'm a hard no on buying another ambulance.
He said,
okay. I was gonna say I'm a hard no on that.
replacing it with a used one. Another, you know, if you can find somebody that had a real nice used one, sell this one by, you know.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't
not.
know.
I'm probably good with where we're at.
Unless Taylor goes out of business, they won't sell it there.
Yeah, you know, I'll never say never. I'll entertain it, but
I don't think it.
I,
That's kind of what I thought. I thought, well, that's a lot of money to buy it, you know.
yeah,
A striker unit is bad, but getting another ambulance, that's really bad.
yeah. Anybody else got anything fire related?
Last thing on the agenda is figuring out when our next meeting is.
What are you doing internal controls? Did you guys do code?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
You missed it.
I missed it. So, next meeting,
We need one before pre-budget.
we're thinking end of June, right?
No, I don't think so. I think we could probably go into the second week of July because we're not going to do our pre-budget before then. We have one more meeting before the pre-budget.
Okay. I wasn't sure, because
Yeah.
pre-budget usually has to be done by the end of June.
Pre-budget? It goes into August.
No, the pre-budget has to be done in June. But now that they're mixing it all up, that's where I'm like, because now it's part of budget 2.0. That's where I'm like, but it's usually what has to be done before the meetings and stuff. So. We're looking at July.
So just to compare from last year, so Judy sent out an email on June 25th of 2025 reminding everyone that budget workshops are starting in a couple of weeks. Please book
That's
your
budget
appointment by
workshops. That wasn't the pre-budget.
Yeah.
See, that's where, with this new system, we're not, because some of those questions for pre-budget were done early in that.
The deadline to submit the pre-budget report was on June 30th of last year.
Right. It's usually done by the June 30th, so.
Yeah.
So you want to go maybe like July 8th?
It says, okay, civil units, hang on. What did you say, July 8th?
Uh-huh.
I would look in July. I know that far out you can get off right out. You just don't schedule yourself that far out. Are you already scheduled out through July? Are you really?
We're in August already.
Okay.
But
July 8th?
July 8th, I'm good.
Okay, July 8th it is.
Okay.
5 o'clock? Does that work for you?
Yes.
For me.
Does that make you have to get up too early?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Adam?
5 p.m.
No, I'm just asking if 5 o'clock is a good time for you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the next meeting will be July 8th at 5 p.m. here at the Township office.
All right. Anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns before we discuss? All Alright, make a motion to dismiss. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye? Aye. Alright.
Let me stop that.